Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to make sense of the financial mumbo jumbo so you don't have to. And sometimes we find some really interesting stuff. Today we're diving into a filing from BiomX Incorporated, and let me tell you, this one involves a lease ending and a hefty payment. So essentially, this is a report filed with the US Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC for those of you in the know. It is a document companies put out to share important news. This particular report is a Form 8K, which means it is for what we call current events. Something significant just happened that investors need to know about right away. And the big event here happened on the 31st of December 2025. The company we are looking at is BiomX Incorporated. They're incorporated in Delaware and have a commission file number and an IRS employer identification number. Interestingly, their principal executive offices are located in Ness Ziona, Israel. That is not where you might typically expect a company listed on a US exchange to be headquartered, but that is fine. BiomX Incorporated trades on the nice American under the ticker symbol PHG. So if you are invested in them or thinking about it, you'll want to keep an eye on that ticker. Now, let us get to the heart of this filing. The main piece of news here is about the termination of a really important agreement. Specifically, it concerns a lease. So Apt, which is a subsidiary of BiomX Incorporated, had a lease agreement for some property. Think of it like renting office space or a lab. This lease was with a landlord called R-708 Quince Orchard LLC. What happened on the 31st of December 2025 is that Apt and the landlord signed something called a 7th Amendment to this lease agreement. This amendment was really about settling some issues or claims that had come up. So what exactly did this 7th Amendment do? Well, first and foremost, the lease itself was officially ended on the 31st of December 2025. But ending a lease isn't always as simple as just walking away. Apt had to pay the landlord a sum of $800,000. That is a significant chunk of change. On top of that, the landlord also cashed in on a letter of credit that was already in place for about $153,500. The letter of credit is like a financial guarantee, so if Apt didn't pay, the landlord could get money from the bank. The good news for Apt and BiomX Incorporated is that after all these conditions were met, the landlord agreed to let them off the hook for any other future responsibilities under that lease agreement. There are a few minor things that still stand, but the big obligations are done. This document itself is an exhibit, and it shows the actual amendment to the lease agreement. It is essentially the official paperwork that details this termination and all the terms involved. And then there is this other exhibit, which is just a standard part of these filings called a cover page interactive data file. It is more for electronic processing than for telling a story about the business. Finally, we get to the signature section. This is where the authorized people from BiomX Incorporated sign off on the report, confirming that everything in it is true and accurate to the best of their knowledge. In this case, it is signed by Jonathan Solomon, the Chief Executive Officer of BiomX Incorporated, and the date on the signature is the 7th of January 2026, which is a bit after the event date itself, as expected for filing these reports. So what does all this mean for BiomX Incorporated in simple terms? They've closed the book on a lease agreement, likely for operational reasons, or perhaps a move towards a different facility. The $800,000 payment and the letter of credit draw represent a financial cost of ending this agreement. While it is a notable expense, it also means they are no longer tied to those lease obligations, potentially freeing up resources or allowing for more flexibility in their real estate strategy. We don't have the full financial statements here, of course, but this $800,000 is an outflow of cash that would have been reported in their financial tables if this were a full quarterly or annual report. The key takeaway is that a material agreement has been terminated, which usually signals a change in operations or financial commitments. Now, looking at all this, BiomX Incorporated is in the biotechnology sector, specifically focusing on phage therapy. Phage therapy uses viruses to kill bacteria, and it is seen as a potential way to combat antibiotic resistant infections. This lease termination could be part of a larger strategic shift within the company, perhaps consolidating operations, relocating to a more cost-effective space, or even downsizing if current operations don't require as much physical footprint. Without seeing their full financial picture, it is hard to say precisely how this impacts their overall health, but we can assume they believe this move is beneficial in the long run. The risk here is always in the execution of these strategic shifts. If the new arrangement is more expensive or less efficient, it could hurt them. In conclusion, BiomX Incorporated has publicly disclosed the termination of a significant lease. This involves a substantial one-time payment, but it also releases them from future obligations. This event is a piece of their ongoing story as they navigate the biotech landscape. It's a reminder that companies are constantly adjusting their operations, And sometimes those adjustments come with immediate costs. Alright, that is our breakdown of BiomX Incorporated's latest filing. What is your take on this lease termination and what it might mean for the company's future? Do you think it is a good move or a sign of trouble? Drop your thoughts in the comments below if this quick dive into corporate filings was helpful. Hitting that like button really makes a difference, and be sure to subscribe for more dispatches from the world of business and finance. Also, we have a Discord community where we discuss these filings further. You can find the link in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.